and the people who care the most about customer experience. And today we have a great show on, and we are watching. You can watch this live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And today we have the Chief Evangelist of Mural. Mural is a digital workspace for visual collaboration. It's an amazing tool that just a few months ago has raised over 18 million US dollars. So it's a startup with a great future. I have personally used Mural when I ran a digital workshop for one of my clients, the American P&I Club in New York, and its 5 satellite offices. And thanks to Mural, we had a great success in our brainstorming and the result of the workshop. So today, I'm very happy to welcome the Chief Evangelist of Mural, Jim Kalbach, who's here with us. Jim, welcome to the show, and it's great to have you here.
Yeah, hi, Michael. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. Great to be here as well.
It's a pleasure having you here. Jim, you've been the Customer Experience Vice President at Mural for the past 6 years. Today, you are the Chief Evangelist. What has changed? What's the difference between the two roles?
Yeah, that's a good question. Good place to start. I just started the role as Chief Evangelist, which actually kind of recalls my beginnings at Mural. When I first started over 6 years ago, I was doing some writing and speaking and some advocacy work for Mural. And then I rolled over into the customer experience role, where I started our customer success team, the support teams, and our services or learning teams as well too. So for the past 5 years, I was helping the company build up our capabilities around supporting enterprise customers and just support and education in general. And I had a team of about 35 people that reported to me. Starting around November of last year, I handed those teams over to other folks who are coming into the company. And I'm kind of independent, or more independent now here at Mural, and I don't have anybody that reports to me. So my focus really is about taking our vision and our mission, taking that and amplifying that and deepening that around the world as much as possible.
Excellent, excellent. I knew another Chief Evangelist, Kai Kawasaki. Now I know a second one, and I'm so happy you are as vibrant as he is.
It's a rare breed. There's not too many people with that title out there. Yeah,
I love this title. When my company grows, I will create a title like this.
There you
go. Jim, my question is, who are you targeting as customers, and what is the benefit for them and their businesses?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. You know, Mural is it's a digital whiteboard, and it's literally a blank canvas. And there's a lot of different work and a lot of different use cases that you can use Mural for. But we do have some clear targets. In the first place, where we target large enterprises that have international teams. I think one of the biggest and most obvious pain points that Mural solves for is distributed teams and collaboration amongst distributed teams. And a lot of large enterprises have that naturally. For instance, IBM is one of our largest, it is our largest and our oldest enterprise customer. And of course, they're represented around the world. So they have teams collaborating around the globe. And with Mural, you can have the visual collaboration, right? So we have email and Slack and Zoom and all those great tools. But when you add Mural to it, it's a visual collaboration space. You can do that brainstorming, as you mentioned in your introduction. You can do anything that you would do on a whiteboard in your office or a flip chart. You can do that in the cloud right through your browser with Mural. And that really adds a new dynamic to your collaboration and to your conversation. So teams that are distributed tend to use Mural a lot. And that includes software companies, fintech companies, so financial institutions, as well as large consultancies, again, that typically have a global footprint. But we also work with educational institutions and, smaller companies, and even, individual and private people use Mural as well, too.
Okay. Has the pandemic helped in spreading Mural across the globe? And when business goes back to normal, will Mural find that its business has resided? What's your opinion?
Yeah. Like I said, I've been with Mural for 6 years. And for me, remote visual collaboration has been part of my mission. And we've been trying to understand how people collaborate remotely, not only just with Mural, but in general. And we've been trying to contribute back to the field with our mission and our vision. when the pandemic hit, it moved the needle from let's just say, broadly speaking, from a nice to have to a must have. So it was really satisfying for me when there was this sudden work from home culture that resulted from the pandemic, that suddenly everything that we had been preaching for the past 5 years was now front and center for the world. The point there is that we have a solution that we believe helped a lot of companies in the pandemic. On the other hand, it definitely helped our business as well, too. There's no doubt about it that we saw increases in just about every dimension of our business, including customers and usage and employees as well, too. Around this time last year, I think we were about 150 people, and now we're going to be up to 500 in a month or two as well, too. So the company has grown very, very quickly and very, very exponentially. And that's to meet the market demand, right? So like I said, we had a tool that could really help people, and the market demand just went up, and we're trying to scale as quickly as possible to meet that demand.
Yeah, I have to congratulate my team, because this nice to have and from nice to have to must have. I wanted to note it down, and I saw it appearing there. So well done, team.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something. When I used Mural for the company in New York, we asked them to go through Zoom, keep Zoom open so they can hear us.
Right.
And then we started brainstorming on that canvas, on the Mural canvas. Is there a feature that I haven't seen in Mural, or is there a feature that is coming up that I could have used Mural directly and people could hear me, or have I missed something out?
We do have a new feature of audio. Yeah, we've actually added that. But Mural, typically, we think about Mural as a complementary tool to other tools that you might have in your remote collaboration work suite, right? So if you think about what you need to be productive when you're collaborating with a distributed group of people, you need a chat capability of some kind. You need audio, you need video, you need the ability to share your screen. You might need a shared location where you can access files. Obviously, email and calendaring as well too. And we really see Mural as a missing link in that ecosystem, right? So we want to play well with those other components. But what Mural brings to the table is very unique. It's that visual collaboration, and because it happens right in the cloud, you collaborate in real time, so you can see multiple people adding content on the virtual whiteboard like you would in a room when you're standing shoulder to shoulder. You can see that, and that adds something to the conversation, which opens up channels of expression. People are able to put their thoughts down without having to wait to raise their hand. It just really changes the dynamic of the conversation. So we really see it as a missing link, and it really does complement a teleconferencing solution like Zoom. So typically, the typical use of Mural is you have something like Zoom open with the audio and the video, and then Mural complements that. However, like I said, we just added audio. So there is an audio option. We're starting to ramp that up so that you can talk right through the canvas, so to speak.
It's good to know, because this will be very helpful. Just to say that, please send your questions in for Jim to answer. This show is divided into two parts. 2/3 of the program, the beginning 2/3, it's us asking Jim questions, and then we open it up to you. So please send your questions in. Jim, since this is a customer experience show, I would like to ask you if there are any golden rules in customer experience coming from your side. You're an American-based company. You lead the way in customer experience, the American Summit, but maybe also Mural. So any nuggets of wisdom on customer experience?
Yeah, and in thinking about that question, before the show, I think now might be a good time to actually show a canvas, because I can answer that question and show off Mural a little bit. Because
please.
Okay, that's great.
Share your screen.
Share my screen. There we go. Because Mural is a visual tool, sometimes a verbal description of it doesn't really do it justice. They have to see it, Michael. So here's a Mural canvas. Yeah, this is actually an example of a service blueprinting. That's a technique that a lot of people who are listening are probably familiar with. Right now, I'm zoomed out on the Mural canvas. So you can think of Mural like Google Maps. If you know Google Maps, you zoom in and out. But unlike Google Maps, it's a blank map. So you can map your own thoughts, your own processes. In this case, we had done a service blueprinting exercise. And you can see that there's a chronology here at the top. You see these steps here. across the top here. I don't know if you see those numbers, but basically time, this is a service interaction that goes across from left to right. And then there are these different colored sticky notes over here on the left-hand side. These are different aspects of information. I'm just going to zoom in on that for a second. So you can see this model, what it does is it builds up the steps in the interaction. Then you have the touch points, the actors, policies, data. You can even have critical moments. That's those red sticky notes. So if I zoom out, what you get is a diagnosis of a service interaction. And as you know, in a lot of customer success work, you do journey mapping and service blueprinting because you want to slow down an experience or a real-time interaction. You want to slow that down so that you can diagnose where points of intervention are, where the pain points are. And I can see with these red sticky notes everywhere. If you look at all these red sticky notes, these are all pain points here, right? So if I zoom in on just one of these columns, you can see here in step number 3 that the consumer is using the mobile app to log in to get customer success information, customer support information, I meant to say, and they're using, the transaction tab. But then if I scroll down on this column here, you can see the further aspects of that touch point. Right. So this is essentially an assembly of touch points with a diagnosis below it. For instance, the customer also tries to force the app to close. The app closes and then they have to reinstall. Here's some questions that the team has. And then here's a pain point that we found at this point in time. Self-help is not easy down here at the bottom of the screen. Sorry,
so this is an internal exercise from what I understood at Mural.
Correct.
Is there any video we can share and see Mural in action?
Yeah, absolutely. And the point is, before we just go over to the video, the point is, to answer your question, I think a golden rule is to, whatever customer experience work you're doing, to have a conversation, that you want to facilitate the conversations. And that's what Mural ultimately is. It's a way to have conversations in your browser, in the cloud, on this virtual visual canvas where you can have diagnosis, find points of intervention, find trigger points, and even have things like, you see these arrows where this pain point is pointing ahead saying, hey, there's something over here that's causing this. And there's a relationship. So you start to see relationships inside of your customer experience. And if you play the video, you'll see a little bit of the session that we held to have that conversation.
Let's play it.
We live in a service-based economy, yet many organizations fail to deliver satisfying services. Transitions between the touch points in a service are intangible. They unfold in real time and then are gone. This makes it hard to capture them and make sense of them. Before we can improve a service, we must visualize these complex systems. Calling out each touch point and mapping them makes it easier to see all the moving parts. We call these maps service blueprints. We use Mural, a cloud-based collaboration tool, to capture these insights. This allows us to collaborate and co-create artifacts that produce actionable insights in a matter of hours. Being digital and cloud-based, we can scale these methods across the enterprise. When everyone can see their role and place in the experience, they are more engaged and can participate in more meaningful ways. As digital living documents, they keep the conversation going beyond just the working sessions. This is the power of modern collaboration that Mural gives us.
Amazing.
So that was pre-pandemic, obviously, and that was a very forward-looking team at Intuit that wanted to do, the hard work of customer experience and do it digitally. What we saw before the pandemic was a lot of teams, because they were co-located, they would just use sticky notes and things like that, which is fine. I like sticky notes. I have sticky notes here as well, too. But to get to your question, what happens after the pandemic? Here's what we're starting to see. We're starting to see a trend. Around the world, companies are allowing for a much more flexible work from home or work from anywhere policy, so that you're going to have what they're calling hybrid collaboration, that some people will be in the office and other people will be remote. We also saw, by the way, during the pandemic, a lot of people being hired who were remote, meaning they're not even near the office, that the talent pool kind of spread out during the pandemic as well, too. So I still believe there's a place, even more so perhaps after the pandemic, for digital collaboration. That if we're doing this type of journey mapping and service blueprinting that's very visual, as soon as you put a sticky note on a wall in an office, you lock out everybody else who's not in that room to that information, right? So I think when we go back, we're not all going to be working from home anymore. Half of us will be in the office, half of us won't be, but we still have to be able to think digitally. We have to be able to say, oh, I'm going to do customer journey mapping workshop. How do I do that online? How do I do that in the cloud? How do I do that collaboratively so that I can have these conversations? Because it's all in the conversations. And that's where Mural comes in. That's why I say Mural is like a missing link.
It is a missing link. And I've seen that cultures have been affected. Company cultures have been affected because people are being hired. They never met some of their colleagues. They don't feel they're contributing to the overall company philosophy. And now with a sticky note, with a Mural digital sticky note, they feel that they are a part of this organization. So thank you for connecting us, and thank you for making this able for us, for enabling us to do this. Yes.
Yeah, and you know, being connected is actually part of what we believe. That's part of our mission as well, too. Yes, you know, you can talk about the technology or the tool, but it's really that effect that you just mentioned right there, that people have a voice. They have a different way to express themselves, but you can also connect better as human beings. There's color, there's shapes, you can see the action going around, and you really get a sense of a team when you're working in Mural, much more than you do, I think, with other collaboration tools. And that's ultimately good for culture, for company culture, right? So, you know, to answer your question too, like what's the, you know, secret or golden rule? I think the work of mapping and other practices that we have in customer experience, and then the conversations that follow, all lead to a culture of customer centricity. It's ultimately, you want that culture of customer centricity. And we really believe here at Mural, we believe that we're a key part of that, that we're much more than just a tool, that we're a platform from which you can, it's a springboard into a culture of customer centricity using Mural.
Excellent. Now I know why you're the chief evangelist. It's not only what you say, it's how you feel it whilst you're saying it. Jim, amazing, amazing. Also, there is something I need to add, and this is stemming from my experience using Mural. There is anonymity as well, if you like to have anonymity, because it was the dog, it was the horse whilst we were locking in. So there is anonymity if you want to come up with any points that some people from the management might not like what you have said. So there is anonymity, correct?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
Yeah,
we have different levels of access. You know, you have the full member, and that's what we charge for. But we also have a very, very light way to get into Mural using what we call the visitor link. And that's anonymous. So you have an animal or another object, and you can kind of come in anonymously. The benefit of that is also that you don't have to register for Mural in order to participate. That we do have a mode, it's called our visitor link or visitor mode, where you can come right into the canvas without having to sign up for an account, and you can come in and just collaborate in that session and then leave. A lot like we might do on Zoom. If you invite me to Zoom, I'm just in the Zoom call. I don't need a Zoom account to participate in your Zoom call. And we have a similar model at Mural. So it makes it really easy to participate with people outside of your organization or outside of your team. And then you also, as you pointed out, you also have that anonymous mode as well too, where you don't necessarily know who they are if you want to leave feedback.
Excellent. Because we want to get to some of the questions, I want to ask you one last question.
Sure.
Is there any breaking news that the customer experience show can break out first? Anything happening at Mural? Yes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we have a lot of new features and capabilities. The product team was one of the areas that we invested in heavily once we got the funding that you mentioned. And as I mentioned, we're growing employees. So we have a much richer and deeper product team, and we have a lot of features coming out. One of the things that we emphasize is facilitation features. So we have a lot of facilitation features that help you facilitate, like the voting feature or the summon feature or private mode or the celebrate feature or that highlighting feature that I showed as well too. So we're going to continue doing that, but it's not just the tool, as I said before, it's also what we believe as a company. And we believe that facilitation happens and we can help with facilitation outside of the product as well too. So we have a new beta program called Experts on Demand, where you can actually get an expert from our network who will be certified to help you with your collaboration. So we have the tool, but we're also going to have a community and a pool of experts that you can call on the quote unquote push of a button.
Excellent. I wanted to ask this because...
And that's breaking news, Michael. You wanted breaking news. I don't even think we've announced that yet. So there you go.
Okay. If you can give me the phone number of those experts, I'm joking. But I wanted to ask this because one of my associates was helping me when we ran the digital workshop, and without her help, nothing could have been achieved. So now that I know that we can have one, because you need to think, and then you need to brainstorm and help the participants log in. So that's good to know that you have these experts on demand. Yeah. Do we get to pay for those experts? What is it? Or is it we upgrade? What do we need to do?
Yeah, it's right now it's a beta program. It's kind of a closed beta. So right now, Michael, you would contact me and ask me directly because it's a closed beta. But for the folks that are listening there, just keep your eye out for it. It's not been opened up to everybody. Okay. So for the folks who are listening in, contact me. I will contact Jim. Okay. All right. Let's get to the questions. Jim, thank you very much for being so informative. And Melissa, can we get to our first question of the day, please? Let's take one or two questions. Okay, it comes from Sofia Shilimindri. She's the person who introduced me to Mural, and we've done the exercise with the American PNI together. She was very instrumental in doing it. She says, do you have an example of a team that increased their satisfaction and general employee experience using Mural? You already mentioned IBM. IBM is prominently featured on your website. If you have another example or the same. Yeah, I mean that team at Intuit that we saw in the video there as well too. But I was just recalling another team at IBM, a specific team at IBM this morning. So I'm going to use that one to answer this question. This was a customer experience team looking at NPS data, and particularly looking at verbatims and where the actual pain points were, and corresponding that to NPS data and things like that. And they had a process. This was a global team, or maybe they were just in Europe, but they were a distributed team. And what they would do is come together each week and talk about the priority issues that they wanted to solve. And they had this meeting that was hours long. They described it as being 3 hours long. And they would kind of go, each person on the call would go through the issues one by one. But then they used Mural to do it, and they did it in a way where they had a bullseye, and everybody did it simultaneously and only put their top issues in the center of the bullseye. And it took a 3-hour meeting down to 15 minutes. So that's more of an efficiency example. But there's also employee satisfaction there as well too, and there's also a really great employee experience because you're saving time for yourself, but the team is also compressing its discussion so that you get to the hot spots, you get to the priority items that you want very, very quickly, and then you can have time to connect as human beings as well too. Excellent. It's good to know. Yeah. Thank you for this. Elena Dimitriou is asking, what message would you give to an entrepreneur? What message would I give to an entrepreneur in general? You know, it's the same message I think that you've probably been talking about, Michael, for years. Make the customer the center of your world, right? But it's not just about that. Here's the thing, Michael, and this is why I talked about having that conversation, because you can have an outside-in perspective of your business, right? Take the customer perspective and make that your starting point. But you also have to have a mindset that's aligned inside of your company. So the people who are delivering the customer experience also have to be aligned, right? So you talk about outside in alignment, but that's not enough. You also have to have a great employee experience, right? So to be customer obsessed, you have to be employee obsessed as well too. And that's where I think Mural plays a great role, is helping customers understand the customer experience, connecting with the customer, at least mentally, and then connecting with each other as well too, because that only then can you deliver a great customer experience.
Amazing. I totally agree with you. Totally agree. Let's get one last question, please, Melissa. One last question, so we stay on time. Christoforos Serkiou says the following: what impresses you the most about Mural?
Me personally, one of the things comes to mind when I hear that question, Michael. During the pandemic, what I saw during the pandemic was inventiveness and resiliency and innovativeness, not only with Mural, but in general, because everybody was thrust into this suddenly remote working conditions, right? It was work from home or work from anywhere. A lot of people had to reinvent their collaboration processes, right? And when they were using Mural, I saw them being very inventive and imaginative in what they could use Mural for. Because I like to think about Mural as a platform. It's not a tool that prescribes something. It's not a workflow tool. There isn't 5 steps that I can give you to go through. You have to approach it with some imagination. And you can do anything that you want to do, you can do in Mural, as long as it's not limited by your own imagination. So the one thing that really impresses me with Mural is just how dynamic and flexible it is, and that if you bring your imagination to the table, you can do amazing things in Mural. And it never ceases to amaze me what I see our customers doing and how inventive they've been, particularly because of the pandemic.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Jim, before we close off, I would like you to have the last word, and then I will recap. Anything you want to say to our audience, to any people that would like to subscribe to Mural, anything goes. Last message from you.
Yeah, sure. I think, getting back to what happens when we go back to the office or post-vaccine world, I think it's an opportunity. People saw the pandemic as kind of a burden, like, what are we going to do now? We have to work remotely. And it was a little bit of a burden, right? And we got over that burden, like I mentioned. I see it as an opportunity. It's an opportunity for you to really change the way that your teams work. Because again, a great customer experience starts with a great employee experience where there's lots of conversations as well too. So as we move forward post-pandemic, take that as an opportunity to really change the way that you're working, change the way you're thinking about your customers, to really have a cultural change. Don't see it as just a burden that you have to overcome. But I think we're at a moment of resiliency, and we kind of proved that digital collaboration works. Grab onto that and use that as your megaphone for customer centricity in your organizations.
Excellent. Jim, what can I say? Before the interview, I said the Chief Evangelist of Mural. Now I say a passionate, enthusiastic person who truly cares about his product, and that's what people should be, and that's how people should come out, because you make us passionate as well. Before the interview, I just thought that Mural was a visual whiteboard. Now I know that it's a tool that's connecting people, helping company cultures prevail through a pandemic and come out from a nice to have to a must have. So thank you very much for being on this show. Thank you very much for enlightening us. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation, and hope to have you soon back to our show.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure and an honor. And I thank you, Michael, for all the great work that you do in this field. It's amazing. Your energy and all the content and all the things that you do. Thumbs up to you and your team.
I would like to thank my team as well, and everyone who has been present. Thank you very much for your loyalty and for your time. Thank you. Take good care and see you soon. Bye-bye.